Have you ever had a loved one slowly and painfully lose their life? I volunteered at an elderly rehabilitation facility where I witnessed a lot of people in the process of losing their life in a very slow and painful way. They always wish for a closer end, and watching them die in such a horrible way, it made you want to do something. Everyone will lose loved ones in their life, and there's many diseases that can warrant a peaceful end. We'll discuss organizations involved in helping you without legal means, illness that warrants a peaceful end, methods of peacefully parting with yourself, and costs involved. In the United States, the states that allow terminally ill and mentally competent adults to take their own lives through a physician is Oregon, Montana, Washington, Vermont, and California. Oregon was the first state to legalize this, and they legalized it through popular vote. On the chart, it says that out of 155 participants who received the lethal dosage, only 105 actually died. So that's a 50-person gap with a physician helping. There are other organizations that help you walk through the process. So walking through the process through another organization is completely confidential and kept private. Two major organizations are Compassion and Choices and Final Exit Network. These organizations both have different ways and different rules on how to take your own life, and they don't actually physically do it to you, you do it to yourself. They just show you the way. So they make sure, Compassion and Choices make sure you're a terminally ill patient, and most of the time you're already enrolled in hospice, so you're already at your last dying days. The Final Exit Network just wants you to be mentally competent and suffering more than you can bear. No one says you have to be terminally ill. You just have to feel within yourself it's more than you can bear and take the conscious choice to take your own life with whatever way they suggest. According to Kevin Drum's article, My Right to Die, people are most worried about how effective the actual lethal process is. Referring back to the chart, being the one receiving lethal dosages and not being someone who dies from it could cause a lot of problems. And this is a physician's way. So these organizations might be a better way to take your own life than the physician's legal ways within those states. So Compassion and Choices are self-obtained and self-administered pills. It's a combination of about 30 pills you take. You have to get them all down on your own free will, and you just lay down in a comfortable area and you basically fall to sleep. Within 12 hours you pass away, but you're completely asleep from the pills throughout the entire 12 hours, so you're not feeling an ounce of pain. When the decision is finalized, Compassion and Choices tells the person to stop taking medication they're currently taking because there's really no point anymore, and it could interfere with the medicine you're going to take to kill yourself. So there's highly confidential protocol to follow. So you have to limit the number of people who know about it and rehearse what you actually have to do before you do it. So you know what's going on every step of the way and you know when's the last moment you can say no. Don't plan for any visitors or hospice appointments that day. And if hospice is in your life, you need to let them know of any existing health problems 2 to 3 weeks before you actually, decide to part ways, because otherwise they might just randomly surprise you at your home. A counselor from the organization will be present during your parting to support you. She won't or he won't touch you, but they'll be at your bedside or wherever you want them in the house. According to the Final Exit Network, they found the quickest and most peaceful way was through inhalation of helium. So to purchase 2 tanks of helium shown on the picture, you can go to Party City, you can go to Target, you can go to Walmart, you can go to any store selling party supplies, and it will cost you between $44 to $88 for the 2 helium tanks, because you need 2. The other thing you need is a hose and a hood. So people actually sell these if you didn't want to make an at-home version. It's shown here. This is what you purchase. It's about $60, and what it is it's a big plastic bag with a cotton cinch around your neck to hold in the hair. It's not hold in the air and the helium. It's not tight. It's just like a sweatshirt. The hose you could get from any supply store, any building store. It just goes half in the hood and the other half connects to your helium tank. So when you turn it on, it all flows into the hood together. The counselor who's there with you after you commit the act they will take away the hood, the hose, and the helium tank. So when an investigator comes in and looks at the scene, it doesn't look gruesome. It looks like you either naturally departed or you did lose a suicide note. Your options are available to you if you want to use that. But in order to keep this, humane in the eyes of the law, they remove the objects you used to commit. So there's a book called Final Exit, written by Derek Humphrey, that goes over all the specifications. He gives you different ways you could commit suicide due to terminal illness, not just out of your own free will or whatever. It's just the way through terminal illness and mental competency. So he goes over methods of doing it, financial planning, funeral arrangements, suicide note decisions, because that's a big phenomenon going on, whether you should leave one or not. Is it worth it? Should you even make your funeral arrangements, or should you just put money aside for funeral arrangements for your family to not have to deal with it? He goes over all of these, thoughts in your head. It was a #1 New York Times bestseller. So he also says that if you do use one of his methods, you should leave the Final Exit book next to you, knowing, so when an investigator comes in, they know why you did this. It was a final exit, you read about it, you were consciously knowing what you were doing. So these acts, they obviously have lethal outcomes, but it ends up being relieving for not only you, but your family who you're leaving behind, because they know how much you were suffering, and they know what's going on. So all the costs of these acts differ. The lethal combination of pills, you can go through your insurance. So depending on your insurance plan, you could get them for free. There's a whole list going from Compassion and Choices, and you can just, get prescriptions from your regular doctor to obtain them. So the helium tanks, like I said, $44 to $88. The hood is $60, or you can make it at home for basically free. And life shouldn't be lived through suffering. Ones who should be ending their life should be doing it by their own terms, just like how they live their life. More and more Americans support the right of the terminally ill to end their own lives on their own terms. These are all the states that proposed legalization of physician-assisted suicide in 2015. It's growing, and more states are allowing this. So awareness and understanding is definitely spreading for these people. Just because the law doesn't understand your pain doesn't mean no one does. There's people and organizations willing to support you. All methods are painless and peaceful. All options are relatively inexpensive. And understand people are suffering. There's a high value of life, but how much do you really value life when you're suffering and in pain every day? You're good to stop.